Good morning.
Good morning.
Mel, what's up?
Good. How are you?
I'm here, ready to
here?
pod.
Are we?
Yeah. You're not nervous, are you?
No. Let's do this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do it?
Yeah.
So let's speak about how you use data analyzation to really empower your community, things like that.
So thinking about my past and where I started in my career. So I'm a process engineer by trade. I went to York University. Process engineering was my thing. Started working in the financial institution. I think just even as growing up as a kid, everything to me came down to numbers and facts. So I love seeing graphs and charts, and call me a geek, call me a nerd, but in school, those were the things that always drove me. Results driven. If something's going to change, I want to see why we're changing things. So what's the data or what's the purpose behind something? So I think for me, that was my biggest drive. And then as I grew in my career, and I've always been in the fitness industry, but never to this caliber of actually coaching. When I caught on to doing one-on-one coaching with my own personal coach, it was mind grabbing right from the very beginning because everything was around numbers. And I don't want to say that in a way of looking at the scale or thinking about how much we weigh, but everything was around what gets measured gets managed. Does that make sense?
I like that. What gets measured gets managed.
Right.
Okay.
So we think about even our food intake, our body measurements. And I don't say that as a cliche, but it's, if we're going to do something and we're going to change things in our lives, we want to be able to see that progress. We want to be able to see that change. We want to be able to see, is what we're doing actually making a difference? So in my mind, everything is always around what gets measured, gets managed. If things are not moving in the direction that we want it to, we take a look at our numbers and we say, what are we going to change? What are we going to shuffle? That makes sense?
So what made you want to make this pivot to health and fitness? Because you're still in the corporate world, which is a great thing. You're still learning. You're still sharpening the blade of the brain and stuff like that.
I will never stop learning. I'll say, I'm always going to be that person who always wants to further educate themselves, further grow, further develop. Mind expansion never ends. For me, it was literally jumping onto my own journey. So during the pandemic, 2021, I would say, I had already gone through a lot by that point. And for me, it was, I needed to start seeing change in myself mentally, emotionally, physically. And I knew what I was doing were not the wrong things. I just wasn't doing it right, if that makes sense. And I knew that we can't conquer everything in life independently. Sometimes hiring a coach, seeking advice, getting mentorship, that's the way to just develop and to grow in life. So I hired my own fitness coach. I went through the whole journey. I went through the struggles of progress, right? Progress is never going to be linear in life. I find that people are always like, well, if I don't see dramatic change in 2 or 4 weeks, I'm going to just give up. I can tell you right now, going through my own journey, I hit crazy milestones and then it went down and then it went back up. Progress and growth is never going to be linear. And for me, once I went through that, quite frankly, I just exposed myself. I put everything on social media. For me personally, that's a way of holding myself accountable. I feel like if you put something out there, people are watching, right? Mm-hmm. People are like, yo, what is she doing? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I feel like if I stopped doing it, not only am I failing myself, but I'm failing the people that are watching what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So having people reach out to me and say, what are you doing? You've changed. You look healthier, you look happier, you look more fit. Your kids, you do more things with your kids. That's what I want to do. So for me, it was being able to help others go through that same journey or that same, call it transformation, really piqued interest in me because it's almost like what I do at work. As a process engineer, I help my clients meet the goals that they're looking to reach. Everyone's got different goals. Everyone's got different peaks they want to meet. So for me, it's about hearing my people, listening to what they're looking for, understanding what their struggles are, and together curating a plan or a program that works specifically for them. And for me, I found that's why it was successful for me. I wasn't given a blanket program, a generic food plan that said, here, go eat it and just follow it. It was curated specific for me, and that's what made me successful.
I love that you say that.
Right?
So has there ever been a time, that you've dealt with like doubt?
100%.
What does that look like for you? Speak to the audience.
Yeah, so like I said, progress and growth is never linear, right? There's going to be moments where you feel the highest high because you're doing great. Like I said, the measurements are changing, the numbers are changing. I see it, I feel it. Mentally, I feel stronger. And then there's days, weeks, months where you don't feel the same way. You're like, things are not happening the way that I want them to. Things are not happening as fast as I want them to. And I feel like that is the biggest piece where we start to doubt ourselves and say, can I actually do this? Am I made to do this? And what I can tell you is, if you've got the discipline and you've got the commitment to yourself and you have the desire to truly change yourself to become a better version of you, anybody can do it. But we always say, if it was easy, everyone would be able to do it. It's not. Transforming yourself is not easy. But you got to ask yourself your why. What's your why? Why do you want to do this? And if you have a clear vision in your mind of why you want to do this, there should be absolutely nothing stopping you from conquering that.
So what's your why?
My children, my family, my husband, my people. I know we talked a little bit about struggles and overcoming obstacles. And I'll remember, after having my first daughter 12 years ago, life's different, right? You're married, you just had this newborn baby. Your life feels like it's been turned upside down. Physically and emotionally, I didn't feel the same. Mentally, we struggle. Not everyone, but many of us. And, you put that, you block that away because you're like, I need to be a parent. I need to be a mother first. I need to be a wife. And I think fast forward a few years, I had my second daughter. You start to lose yourself. And I don't mean it in a negative way, but you lose the person that you were. What made you tick? What made you happy? And as much as, your children and your spouse and your partners and your family, your friends bring you so much joy, nothing will bring you more joy than your own happiness and your own being proud of yourself, being proud of what you've overcome. And so for me, that was the biggest piece of saying, I need to make a change. I could see it in myself. My kids could see that I was frustrated. Marriage is hard. My husband was, we would get frustrated with one another. But let me tell you, I'm thankful for him every day because he enabled me. He supported me to get through what I had to get through in order to become me again, right? And so I thank him every day for being the partner that he is. And, then 2019, I lost my dad. And so that, for me, I think was the biggest slap in the face because I don't think anyone really prepares for loss, especially a parent. And for me, he was my biggest supporter. He was my biggest cheerleader. My dad, my parents are absolutely incredible and I'm blessed to have them, but my parents always held different roles for us growing up.
Mm-hmm. And you probably broke some of those rules.
Yeah.
This a teeny bit of them?
Different rules, but they had different roles, if that makes sense, right? My dad he wasn't the nurturing. He was this is what you gotta do in life. This is how you're gonna prepare for it. Shit's gonna get real in life. And you need to be able to stand up to those things. And I think when I lost my dad, that biggest spokesperson that I had, he wasn't there anymore. Mm-hmm. And they say over time, loss gets easier. It doesn't get easier. What makes it easier for us to cope with it is how we choose to accept it, right? Accepting that is very different than just letting it be.
What if I told you that he's living vicariously through you just by listening to you talk?
It's funny.
The first conversation we had on the phone, second conversation we have on the phone, and just listening to you, and we're not 10 minutes in. You know what I mean? So this is where I'd give my flowers to you and say is, you have a gift, even more of a gift. You speak, you see it in your posts. I see that community that you've built, and things like that. So give yourself grace. Give yourself a round of applause because TED Talk Speak is there. I'm telling you. It's right there for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for me, is when I went through my struggles, and I still struggle. Like, who's to say, we're cured, we're fixed? There's no such thing. It's, what are the tools and tactics that you're now taking and thriving with? And for me, joining that community of women and having that support and having a coach and having someone there to, like you say, did you ever face doubt? Absolutely, I did. But my coach and my people and the women in my community were there to be like, shut up, you got this, right? And so now that I have the ability to do the same for others, I'm telling you, there's no better feeling in the world. Just me as a human, like even in my corporate job, I'm a leader. I lead
I feel that.
People.
Oh yeah.
Right? For me, it's not about necessarily the results. The results come when you've got happy people, right? Learning how to lead, mentor, coach, motivate people is something that I don't take for granted. I know that I've done well with that in my past. I know that I've struggled with it and the impact that's made on my life. And so knowing that I can make those impacts on others, I'm telling you, there's no better feeling. Knowing that I can help people make change in their life, specific for them, I honestly can't even describe it. Like, I think we even chatted about it once on the phone, and we were saying, it's a cliche, but people say, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I'll be honest, I think that's bullshit. You don't treat people the way you want to be treated. You treat people the way they want to be treated, because you may not want to be treated the same way I do. I may not want to be treated the same way you do. But how do we do that? We do that by listening, by communicating, by understanding.
You're speaking my language right now.
Right? Like, when you're in a room and that person who's constantly talking, they're not the smartest person in the room.
Usually the weakest. That's what they say, right?
Got it. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to the people who listen more than when they speak. Pay attention to those individuals, because if you can actually sit and listen to someone, you have the intelligence to want to be able to learn and understand those people.
Boy, oh boy. You just came in here just to fire, eh? I like this. This is what it's all about, though. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people, I see it in where I work. I see it with the people that I communicate with. Intentional listening is not there. It's not. People hear what they want to hear.
Or they want to be heard.
Or they want to be heard. Or they may read what it is that they want to see. That's why I don't really do a whole lot of text messaging. It's more voice note. Voice notes is very precise. It's very clear. You know, because we've talked, right? But the thing is what I look at is, there's a pandemic, I think, of how communication is. Doesn't matter what the flow is. That's why I feel like it's an intimate setting as far as like with podcasting, because you need to be able to listen to the person.
Right.
And if you can't listen to the person, how are you going to produce of what's being said? So this here, when I think of the 7 years you asked me before we hit the record button, I've learned so many things. And I get in like conversations with people and they're like, yo, you're so quick at the ball. And it's just because it's anticipating what the next thing's going to be said. Because you just know it as a master communicator. Like yourself, you're a master communicator. That's why I said TED Talks, Mel, on stage is happening, end of 2024, 2025. Let's make it happen. Come on now. You should be doing it. You should be doing it. But I think what it speaks to, I see you. I see the training that you're doing. I see just how enriching that you're doing, and you're producing all of these things. You speak about your family. You speak about your husband. And I feel like one of the biggest topics that's happening organically on this show is a lot of men and women that sit across from me all champion the person that they're with.
You have to. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't even be close to as successful as I am today without the support of my husband, without the wisdom of my husband. He does. He knocks a lot of common sense into me. Sometimes I can be that big dreamer. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but He's a supporter of my dreams and he'll never knock them, but sometimes he's got to bring me down to reality a little bit. And that could just be a happy medium of what I want to conquer or the achievements that I want to make. And I'll be forever grateful for that, because knowing that you have a partner that supports you, there is no other better feeling. Like, even going through my own journey, struggling with having young children, wanting to get those workouts in, feeling like you're being pulled in 100 directions. I'm not saying it's not possible without a partner or a supportive partner, but let me tell you, it makes life a lot easier when you do. And it's not just about the support. You tend to then grow together. You change together. If you were to ask my husband today how his life has projected differently within health and fitness in the last 3 years, he'd tell you that his life looks completely different. And I'm not taking credit for that. It's what you bring into your family, good or bad, falls down to them. Right? My children now, I don't tell them what to eat. I don't tell them that they need to stay active. They see me and my husband doing it every day. And to them, it's like they want to come to the gym with us. And they're only 12 and 9. They make the healthy choices. And it's not just about health and fitness. It's anything in life. I believe that we need to equip our children, our family members, whoever it is that's watching us around us, with the ability to make a choice. Right? I could put a greasy pizza on the table, and I'm not saying we never enjoy a greasy pizza, or a very healthy chicken, rice, veggies on the table, and I'm telling you, my kids will go to the chicken and rice and veggies, not because I've told them that they can't eat it, but they know what it feels like to eat both. They're both competitive gymnasts. They know that they need to perform. They need to nourish their bodies. But they're kids, and I do encourage them to also have the sugary treats. I want the sugary treats, but it's teaching them about choice, number one, and what actually makes you feel good. Hey, if you want to go and demolish the whole pizza, go ahead. But you know what you're going to feel like later.
I kind of feel bad. I had a whole pizza to myself this weekend, you know?
But it's just about being able to teach them by showing them. You can tell a kid 1,000 times to do something. They'll never do it. But if you just show them, over time, they're going to want to do the same thing. Like, if you follow me on socials and you see that, I post workouts with my kids all the time. My little one especially loves the camera, by the way. And she just wants to always be in the gym with me. And for me, I'll be honest, there's no greater feeling than knowing that my actions are rolling down to my children. God forbid I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow. I know that to this day, I've been able to equip my kids with enough knowledge and understanding that will help them grow into being incredible women, right? It's all about how and what we do in our households. Like I said, good or bad.
I love that.
It all trickles down.
It's funny you say that segue part where you say what you do in the household. So your husband, you say, is active, right? Mm-hmm. You're active also too. We see that on socials. I don't really see him on socials. I don't know. Does he have social media?
No.
So
he'll tell you straight up he hates social media.
So even if he was sitting in the same room here, I would ask him the same question. Who would win a burpee challenge between you and him?
Probably him.
Out of 100?
More endurance.
Out of 100?
Out of 100?
Out of 100.
You know why? I'll tell you right now, I hate cardio. I'll do just as much as I need to do, right? No, it's true. And, if we think about as we age and what we need, so women over the age of 40, which is me, what we did in our 20s and 30s is very different than what we need to do now to sustain having a toned, lean, building muscle. Cardio is actually not the greatest thing for us. And I'm not bashing cardio. Cardio is great, but we have to think about what phase in our lives we're in. Are we hitting our 40s, our 50s? What does training need to look like for us? What does nutrition need to look like for us? For men, it's different, right? We have this argument at home all the time. For men, it's different, right? But yes, he would kill me in a burpees challenge.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we put this out there?
No.
Why? It should be just a friendly comp.
Sure, we'll do it at home.
Yeah. Friendly comp.
Friendly comp.
And then put a little side bet on it.
Yeah, and he'll win. He'll win. I'm already exposing it.
You're hilarious.
I hate cardio.
You hate cardio?
I hate cardio.
Really?
I do it because I know that I have to. And, I think we chatted about this again too. Mamba mentality.
You're going to wake that up now.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, even though you don't want to do it, or it's tough, or it's hard. But we got to do what we got to do sometimes. But yes, I hate cardio.
So let me ask this question, because I feel like we all go through it. Criticism. Uh-oh. She took a sip of the tea. She's like, here we go. Criticism. How do you block that out? Speak to the audience.
It's not easy. So I say this to myself all the time, and I say it to my clients and to my children. Our greatest power is our mindset.
Talk about it.
Like I said to you, from the beginning of my journey, I would post it on social media. Not because I'm trying to show off or tell people what I'm doing. To me, it's actually a way of holding myself accountable. Because if I put it out there, people know that I'm doing it. And I just feel like I owe it to myself and to the people that are watching that I can do this. So it's almost like a challenge to myself. And I've gotten the hate comments. I've gotten the, who are you trying to become? You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a this. But at the end of the day, what am I really doing? Because if I think about it, yeah, you're right. I am a mom, I am a wife, I'm a professional, but I'm actually changing people's lives in a positive way. And I think the critics that come and make these comments are the people who truly want that same change. They want that same transformation, but they don't have the willpower to actually do it. So the only way to make themselves feel better about it is to make comments.
Here we go.
Right? And so I've had to block a bunch of people off of social media. At the end of the day, if you're only going to be there to watch what I'm doing, I don't need you to watch it. So guess what? I've closed that door. But that's even people behind social media. I've had very close friends in my life that I thought were literally my bestest of friends.
Right.
Who saw the goodness coming out of me, saw the attraction that I was getting, saw the women that I was starting to transform, and their true colors started coming out.
You know why that happens, though? Is because they want to be like us, but they don't know how to get there.
Got it.
And their fear of asking the questions, you know what I mean? And that's where you see a lot of jealousy and hate come from. Yeah. But I've always said is jealousy and hate are the new kind of love, if that makes sense, in a way.
No, tell me about it.
Because here's the thing is, when they're critiquing you, and if it's on social media or they're commenting on their posts or they're watching what it is you're doing, you're just adding to my analytics. So I welcome the good and the bad. I see it all the time, and I love it. I love it. I embrace it, because a lot of what I see now with men and women, people in my inner circle, I've seen where the crumbling is starting to come off, right? And those are the people that are not supposed to be in the circle.
Right.
I say this in the chair because it's just how it is. I know they hear this and they're like, there he goes again. And I'm like, well, hey, you could have been here. We could have went to the levels of where we needed to go to, but you didn't want to go because maybe it's your own insecurities that are holding you back. I've always said is too many times we're making excuses, but we're not making adjustments. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So what do those adjustments look like? Ask that question. I'm all about championing, if you don't know something, ask that question.
You got it. I'm the biggest advocate for asking the questions. Even in my corporate job, people may look at me as the person who always needs to have the answer. And I'll tell you straight off the bat, more often than not, I don't have the answer. But what makes us strong in our abilities is having the ability to actually, one, ask the question, two, and say, you know what, let me take that away and I'll get back to you. Regardless of what it is, we need to be able to have the ability to ask the question. And if you yourself can't even come to terms with, I'm too ashamed to ask, or no, I can't expose myself for not knowing or not being the same, that's their own weakness. And I think for me at the beginning, it was hard for me to understand that. But over time, it was, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. So either you fix yourself, or I think we're done.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. No, for sure.
It's all in our mindset. We talk about change and being better and wanting to see ourselves grow. But people don't want to change anything. So what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. And I will say that time and time again. My kids, if they don't do as well in a competition or they injure themselves at practice, that's a challenge. You were just faced with a challenge. And so now today's experience or today's episode or today's, failure is only going to make you stronger. It's going to change who you are as an individual. Right? That's how we grow. So I have a handful of clients in the past that have been like, I'm not seeing any change. But what have you changed? You're expecting now immediate results, immediate transformation, this is not just about our bodies. This is about our minds, our emotions, and how we actually conquer our days. Right? Like when we wake up each day, you talk about being 1% better, but
you've done your homework on me. I see it.
No, I have done that.
She's like, I need to just know where I'm navigating with this guy.
It's watching your podcast. And it's true. It's not about, this is not science. This is what happened yesterday that I can change even 1% today, or what are my goals? People think like, we need to take this big bite off immediately. Put a plan in place. What are you going to do each day to get to that place? Because the problem with most individuals is they want to see immediacy. We're in a society where it needs to be instant gratification, instant results, instant movement.
But that's the pressure that Instagram put on everybody. Everybody says social media, but it's like, say the channel. This channel is Instagram because we're up against the millions and millions of people, and everybody's putting up that front-facing forward projection. I get it all the time. Some people are like, yo, you got it made. And I'm like, yeah, right, I got it made. I'm doing what it is to get it made. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm doing what it is to get it made. I'm not made yet. We all have our limitations. You're
bigger than you think you are.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But what it all comes down to is just applying the pressure in the respective realms that it is you want to go into.
And staying focused, right? Like, your decisions are not always going to be the popular decisions or the popular things. I just asked you, how was your weekend? Gotta do what I gotta do.
I don't have weekends.
There's no weekends.
And the thing is that
someone may look at you and be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But for you, that's what you gotta do. And that's a decision that you're making.
And the thing is, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Simple minds don't understand. Simple minds are, how was my weekend? I went here, I went there. Oh, you don't have weekends? Yes, because I'm editing. You want to do editing for me? Oh, wow. When do you have fun in your life? When do you do this? It's like, listen, the fun happens.
Right.
But you guys will see the fun when it comes down to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's goals that need to be made. And it's like, you hear these little cheap comments where they're like, oh, you just seem like you're so focused. And you get that from a lot of guys. You get that from women. And it's just like, listen.
You are focused.
You have to be focused. what, if you're saying you're champion, you're saying that I can't be focused. What are you doing?
Right.
You just go home, turn on Netflix, scroll, binge watch all your episodes.
I love that you just said that.
Right?
So same idea. When I coach my clients, this is an evening and weekend thing that I do. Put my kids to bed, say goodnight, get lunches, spend some time with my husband, then it's onto my computer. But that's a choice that I am making for my own growth. You talk about Netflix and Instagram scrolling, and I have so many women or just people around, they're like, oh my God, did you see this episode or that series or this? What are you even talking about? TV for me doesn't exist, and that's a choice that I make. Because when we talk about, I don't have the time to work out, I don't have the time to meal prep, I don't have the time to go for a walk, but you have hours a day to scroll Instagram and to watch Netflix and to go out for dinners and go out for drinks. If we were to tally the number of hours that you have spent doing that, and if you were to just readjust half those hours to your health and wellness, I'm telling you, you would be a transformed person in 6 months.
Speak about it.
But it's all true. A decision on
it's
what
true.
We do with our time.
It's true.
Sure, do I wish I could watch a couple series of Netflix? Sure. But at the end of the day, is that more important to me than what I want to accomplish?
You do that when
it's
the work
not.
is done.
Right.
You do that when the work is done.
Got it.
And I think it's the lack of priorities. I see it within people. Like, I have the coaching background and I reactivated it back because it's like people forget
Yep.
And that's like how Jay-Z says, please let me reintroduce myself again. And I've reintroduced that. And now when you get into conversations, I can already pick at people, men and women, that have the limitations. And you know what they always look at you and say? Oh, why are you analyzing me? Why are you so worried? I'm not analyzing you. I can just pick up on everything, all the tendencies, because we all have it. We all bleed the same blood. So there's certain things that we pull away from. Because when I was in health and fitness, I knew what it was like working 2 jobs, going to the gym, back home, and not wanting to train yourself and doom scroll on Instagram, go on Netflix and watch the shows, do all of these things. A lot of my recreational time now is not spent on Netflix. It's on YouTube. And it's learning things and watching open forum debates and always sharpening the brain that way. Because you have how do I say this? You have the conservative side of media, and then you have the mainstream side of media. Everybody picks what they want to pick, right? You pick your poison. It is what it is, right? Your background. What's your background?
I'm Macedonian. What is that? I know, right? I get that question.
Like, I'm frozen. Like, what?
You're frozen. So it's a Balkan country surrounded around Serbia, Croatia, Albania. We're just outside of Greece.
I couldn't pick it up because
it's actually a very small country.
So I'm sitting across from you.
But the best people ever.
Right? I'm sitting across from you and I'm like, what's her background? I'm like, I want to say Greek. I want to say Italian.
It's my last name. So my husband's last name is Greek. So I get are you Greek? But I'm not far off.
I was going to say, like, are you Middle Eastern?
No.
I'm getting a little bit of that. I was like, okay.
I grew up in Scarborough.
You grew up in Scarborough, eh? So you're gonna give us some of that Toronto slang? Yo, you see? You can hear it, eh? You can hear the little Torontonian in you. That never leaves you, eh?
No, it doesn't.
Only when maybe when you get mad, it just comes out fully.
It comes out when I get mad.
So let me ask you this question. Do you ever have, you work in the corporate world, and I always get this from a lot of Americans where they're like, is that how y'all talk in Toronto?
Is that how y'all talk?
I'm like, what do you mean how we talk? They're like, well, Drake talks like that. And I'm like, it's a slang. And then people are like, why does everybody in Toronto sound like they're Jamaican? Do you ever get that?
No, but that's what Scarborough.
Yeah.
I grew up with a lot of Jamaicans. Those were a lot of my friends. Well, and so those were my people.
They're your people.
They're my people.
So what's your favorite Jamaican cuisine?
So, do you remember Warden Station? Beef patties?
That's westernized. What's your favorite? I can't do this with Mel right now. Because you know what? I want you to say, what's your dish?
I don't have a favorite dish. So jerk chicken, obviously.
That's westernized.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's Jamaican patty. I can't right now the podcast. Jamaican patties and jerk chicken is so I believe Canadian based now.
Sure, it is. But I'm just telling you, that's what I would eat.
Like oxtail?
I don't know.
You ever tried oxtail?
Maybe.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Yo, I hope your Jamaican friends see this so they can give you some oxtail.
I know. I'm going to be in trouble after this.
Curry goat at least?
Yes, I've had curry goat.
Yeah?
Yes.
You like it?
I think I've had an Indian version of it, though.
But we're talking about Jamaican
I know.
food?
But when I think about goat, I think I've had...
Fair. Steamed fish, anything like that? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. You cook any of this at home?
Fish, not curry goat.
Why?
Or because, I don't know, I wouldn't even know how to cook it.
She's like, let me go on Google.
Sometimes I want someone else to cook for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Dine in. That's what different
I'm saying.
Spots here.
So you're going to have to give me your new, not new, but your hot spots in London.
In London? For Jamaican food?
Not happening.
You wanting to cancel me on this show.
Not gonna.
You gotta get it. You gotta get it from the home base. If it's not coming from mom or dad,
send me your Toronto spots.
I heard Roy Woods is pretty good. Yeah. Roy Woods, singer, musician.
No idea.
Yeah. So anytime I go up to Toronto where they do the transit and stuff like that, there's a spot right there, right? Because I just take the train up and you relax. You gotta go do the podcast and stuff like that. But it's Roy Woods. I know is one of the places, and there's a couple different ones. Just get on our Googles and things like that. For sure.
Nice.
You have anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
We talk a lot about activities in the city. So I owe you a training hour.
Yeah.
And then you're going to owe me some time to put on the gloves, and we're going to go to Boomers just down the street.
What's Boomers?
Boomers boxing.
Oh, okay. We're boxing.
Yeah, just hit the bag for like an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Good for the soul.
I've never boxed.
Why?
I don't know.
Growing up in Scarborough, you never had to
No.
defend yourself? Slip a couple punches
Sometimes.
when you're... Yeah.
But I never boxed.
You never box?
No.
You just pick up something?
Just drop and kick.
Yo, she says it turns it into WWE, eh? You just drop kick people?
Just drop and kick.
Just drop and kick?
Just drop and kick.
I can't with you. But yeah, you owe me a boxing session.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Boxing.
There might be a thing where you may have to step in the ring, though.
No. I'm good.
You're good?
No.
No?
We're good. I don't box.
You wouldn't spar?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
I have a few contacts that I could send you.
Oh. Okay. So I know Boomers is probably going to see this. Brett's going to probably see this. So a few contacts. I'm curious to see who these people are.
I'm a very resourceful person.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell.
I know people everywhere.
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 Like, I feel like I'm under surveillance a little bit.
No, you're not.
You got the background in tech, so I don't know. You just Thanos me and snap and shut everything down.
You're shut down. No.
Right? No, it's crazy. But I feel like one of the things that I can appreciate about you is that you have this calmness to you, right? And I think a lot of women that are watching you, seeing what you do, can learn a lot, right? What is something you're wanting to do for the rest of 2024 to really just lock in the community and get them to understand things?
Is share more of me. Put myself more, I guess not say out there, but get people to understand more about what my value proposition is, what I have to offer, what I've gone through, right? So many women, they tend to feel like it's not for me. I can't do that. I wasn't born to look that way. I just don't have the time or the capacity to spend on myself. And I think the more I share about the struggles that I went through, I'll share it with you, is that there's never going to be a right time, ever. There's never going to be a time in your life where you can say, I don't have kids' activities, I don't have work, I don't have home responsibilities, I don't have the next, hockey tournament that I need to go to. This is a lifestyle. This is not a 4-week program that says, do these things for 4 weeks and we're done. This is teaching you how to live a sustainable lifestyle, right? I've learned this along the way is what you need to do to get the results are the same things you need to do to maintain the results. So that's why I say you're never going to stop. You need to continue going. I lost my dad. He was in palliative care. I was a stressed out, strung out mom. I could barely have a clear conversation with my husband. I was always on edge. I was angry. I was not very approachable. And believe it or not, that's when I started my journey. Could that have probably been the worst time of my life to say, I'm going to now prioritize my workouts and I'm going to meal prep and I'm going to do all of these things. And let me tell you, the first month, the first 2-3 months were ugly. They weren't perfect. My workouts to this day are not always perfect, but just getting up and doing them is my discipline. It's the discipline that I've created for myself and that all of us can do. To this day, all those actions that I made were not just to better myself. It was bettering my relationship with my family. It was creating a stronger bond with my husband. It was probably repairing a few years of damage that has happened through, again, stress, change, children, raising kids, paying a mortgage, all the struggles that life throws at you, but we did it together, right? And so I actually came out in the end as a much better person. I was a better employee. I was a better leader. I was a better mentor. So my thing to all the women out there is don't sell yourself short. Don't think you're not able or capable. It's about creating that mindset. Like I said, your most powerful asset is not your wallet, is not your house, It's not the car you drive. It's not the clothes that you wear. It's what's in your head.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And if you can just get that clear, you can do anything you want. I say this in one of my posts. My body will give out before my mind ever does.
Shit.
Right? Like, you can do anything you put your mind to. It ain't going to be pretty all the time. It ain't going to be easy. You're going to struggle. You're going to fail, but you're going to do it. My transformation picture, I get comments on there all the time. People think I did that in like 6 months. There's like 3 years between both those photos. But the reality is, if I stopped, I never would have gotten there. Right?
No, I'm telling you, you're going places.
Thank you.
Like, I feel like the sky's the limit for you. Like I said, TED Talks, more podcast appearances, all that good stuff. And it just speaks to who you are. You see it on the shirt. It says levels above. People are like, what is that from? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Pay attention. You'll understand. You know what I mean? But, continue to just shine that light, that torch. And before we get out of here, 2 things. What element from Toronto would you bring to this city of London, Ontario? And what would you take from London, Ontario to probably give to Toronto?
I love that question. So I'm going to start with what I would take from London and take it to Toronto. And I say that because I've only been in London for a short period of time, but I have grown to have a great respect for this city in terms of, truthfully, the people, common courtesy, politeness, seeing what's happening around you and doing something about it. Very quickly, we were coming out of an elevator and there was a senior. Sorry, we're in Toronto. And I saw a senior coming in the elevator, coming out. He went up, he came back down. He was lost. He didn't know where he was. And so many people around were just watching him. Nobody even cared. No one even saw him go up and down the elevator twice and be discombobulated. It was my husband and I said, Mel, I think just help him to the next elevator. Not that I'm saying we wouldn't have done that if we didn't move to London, but what I would say is we've become more aware here that people are just much more willing to help. They're not in such a rush. Everyone's just like more chill mode, which I love. We're not always so anxious to get to the next spot. Coming from Toronto, it's a very, hustle bustle city, right? Everyone's just narrow-minded. They've got their blinders on and they're just going. But what I would say about Toronto is that there's a lot more diversity around you in Toronto that gets you to see things very differently. So I find that in smaller cities and smaller towns, there's not as much for us to compare ourselves to. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
In Toronto, there's just so much more around. There's different people, there's different experiences, there's different ethnicities. London's becoming quite diverse also, around how do we actually grow and develop and how do we think about things a little differently, right? It's Toronto. It'll always be my home, but I do love being here and I think it's a great place for raising a family, becoming an entrepreneur. I see a lot of great businesses coming up in London. London has a lot of great potential.
Great potential.
Great potential.
It's just, there's some things I think that they just need to, and I'll say it, I'll be open and honest about it. They got to open up the mind just a teeny bit more.
Yeah.
Bring that element of Toronto where it's like open mind. But then if I really say what I'm going to say, Justin Trudeau might see this and he might come for me.
Yeah, no, because remember, I look at London actually as its own like independent island. If you live in London, most likely you work in London, you go out and entertain yourself in London. There's just so much more potential here because there's really nothing else around. So why not make this the best city it can possibly be? Look, people are coming. London's expanding.
It is.
There are communities popping up everywhere, north, west. I'm in the west. I know East is starting to expand a bit too. Yeah. So people are coming. There's an attraction to the city, which I think is great.
Absolutely.
So I think if they just put some more into its infrastructure.
I love it. Before we get out of here though, take us home. 1% better. How do we do it?
Just show up for yourself. Think of one, even two things that you've always wanted to do. And just say, what can I do today to just get one step closer? Don't bite off more than you can chew, because I'll tell you right now, that's your first step to failure. Just show up for yourself, create the discipline, stop making excuses.
Love it. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.